This is my little outdoor pond tub, and I threw some fish. I think you could see some of the fish. I threw some fish food in there to try and bring them to the surface. I just thought I'd explain how I made this because I'm very impressed with the fact that I don't have any mosquitoes in the yard since this has been had fish in it for the last few weeks. You can see there's no filter. That's because I am trying to encourage the mosquitoes to lay their eggs in here rather than in some of the tiny little pockets around the yard that I don't always find that hold water. And they seem to prefer this, which makes sense because everywhere else that there's water trapped in the yard is a small, shallow vessel or something that is going to evaporate quickly. So once the eggs hatch, the fish, and these are mosquito fish, these are Gambusia affinis, I believe, they eat the larvae. I mean, they eat every critter in there. I've seen little bugs land on the surface, and they eat those. These are very controversial fish. They are native to the United States. Here in Memphis, we can get them from our county health department because they're given away for free to people who have outdoor water features for vector control. However, they are not native to other parts of the world, many of them, and they have been introduced over the years, and they have decimated populations of local fish, amphibians. They eat tadpole eggs, they eat tadpoles, they eat the fry of much bigger fish. They're extremely aggressive and nippy. I think they have great personalities in that respect, but they're not really to be kept with other fish because they are so aggressive. Oh, I'm sorry about the lawnmower. Okay, so briefly, the way that I set this up, I have some tanks in the house and I keep a population of scuds, amphipods, and bladder snails. And so when I set this up, I did treat the water, I did dechlorinate the water, and there's a bunch of hornwort in there. Floating on the top is some Amazon frog bit. There are a few pieces of water sprite, and also there are a couple house plants. So this one is a philodendron. That is an arrowhead plant. Only their roots are in the water. They were already growing in fish tanks in the house, so I brought them out here. Interestingly, this is a dayflower. It's a weed. It's a climbing dayflower, and it grows in my yard. And I looked it up, and it does well in wetlands. So I have its roots growing in water. And I just used, I don't know if you can see it. So that's just like a caddy that would go in your shower with suction cups to put your razor and stuff in to stick on the wall. And I have another one over here. And then I have a little piece of pothos. So I let this all sit for a couple of weeks to develop some bug life. And I threw some crushed up dried oak leaves in there because they will grow little tiny organisms that the scuds will eat. The scuds also become a food source for the fish as well. They eat detritus, scuds do, so do the bladder snails, so they all help to cut down on waste because I don't have any intention of doing any water changes on this. In fact, we've been in a drought, so I've had to top it off with a few gallons. I do dechlorinate the water before I put it in there. Hadn't gotten too hot. These fish can withstand over 100 degrees. They should be able to get through the winter as long as this doesn't freeze through solid, and unless we have some crazy storm like we did last year, they'll probably be okay. However, I do plan on setting up just a real basic bare bottom 20-gallon long tank and throwing some of these plants and fish in there for the winter because they are really, really interesting to watch. Okay, thanks. I hope you enjoyed this.